could Elsa be a 4? She does get broody and kind of withdraws into herself, and she tries to interact and play games, but she feels like she's different.
And then she has the whole song.
I'm not gonna. You're just trying to get me to stop.
Give me a chance. Yeah, baby, try. Just one more night, then make up your mind.
Hi, welcome to the Christian and Tiffany channel. I'm Christian.
And I'm Tiffany.
And today we're talking about the Enneagram 4.
Number 4.
Hook it up with the number 4.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about the childhood beliefs of the 4, the stereotypes of the 4, the strengths of the 4, the weaknesses of the 4, and finally number 5, how to relate with the Enneagram type 4.
Yeah. So just first of all, if you are a 4, if you think you might be a 4, or if you have a relationship with a 4, this is important for you to know because it's all about the deep down motivations and perceptions that you have, the way you perceive the world. And so 4s are oftentimes called the romantics or the individualist.
Yep.
I like to call them the daydreamers. They're the artists of the world. And as a child, they developed this belief that everyone else has something that they don't have, that they're missing some magic ingredient to make them special and to make them belong. They just feel like something's missing. They're flawed. They're lost. They're kind of abandoned. They're just on the outskirts. They're on the outside. And it's an internal feeling that there's some kind of void. And so they spend much of their life and are motivated by this desire to find that missing piece of themselves, to find their individuality, to find their significance, to find their worth. They don't feel that they are valued who they are right now. In and of themselves, they don't feel valued. And they feel like they have to somehow creatively establish value. And so that really goes into a lot of, just their behaviors and how they relate to the world because they just always feel like a loner, right?
Like a loner.
So let's talk about some of the stereotypes.
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
A 4. Okay, and what I always like to say when it comes to stereotypes is these are stereotypes, so not every 4 are going to be able to relate to these things. A lot of these are extremes on the negative side of a 4, an unhealthy 4. So if you hear these, you're like, ooh, that is so not me. That's okay. You might still be a 4. Hang on and listen for the strengths and what a healthy 4 sounds like before you make that decision.
Absolutely. So stereotypes. Number 2, stereotypes. So some of the stereotypes are the brooding artist, which you mentioned. The new term that I just learned today, emo.
He had no idea what emo was.
I had no idea what. Do you know what emo is? That's my question. Do you know what emo is? Because I didn't. What is emo?
Emo, like they wear the dark clothes, they have the dark hair, they're kind of pale, they're brooding, they're really kind of withdrawn. A lot of emos, they listen to emo music, kind of rock music, that sort of thing. It started from a sort of a musical term, but then it just became an image that a lot of kids took on, just this emo image. But anyway, moody, also dramatic. Right. If you have a friend that's like just always dramatic and there's always something wrong and you're always having to come to the rescue, that's a stereotype of a 4.
Okay. The victim. I know the victim is one, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's right.
Can I have the victim mentality?
Like, life is not fair. Everything is against me. I'm a mess and I need help. It's kind of a thing. But so again, those are little tastes of like the unhealthy side. So let's talk about what the beauty of the 4 is, and there's so much of it. Yeah,
let's go into strengths.
Strengths. So
number 3, strengths.
4s are the creators of the world. They are the ones that help the rest of the world see the beauty that's around them. When a 4 is healthy, they not only have an understanding of their own intrinsic value, but they see the value in everything around them. They're the ones that are going to tell you to stop and smell the roses. They're the ones that are going to say, oh, the moon is out. Isn't it beautiful? They appreciate the beauty in the world. They're very sensitive, very in touch with their emotions, but they aren't ruled by their emotions when they're healthy. And they can help others really come to terms with who they are. And that whole drive that they have for self-discovery and individuality, they can really help some of the other numbers that are more withdrawn and not in touch with themselves to find who they are. So that's kind of a cool thing about 4s.
Yeah, absolutely.
What else?
Absolutely. So the masters of transformation, passionate. I think you talked about bringing beauty and inspiration in music, in art, in film, filmography, photography, painting. So what's the difference between moody and teenagers?
Oh, well, yeah, very different. I mean, yeah. When you're talking about kids, it's really hard to kind of figure out exactly what their type is because just their hormones have them all over the spectrum. So you may have, a tween, a middle schooler, or a high schooler that is in this kind of emo thing, and it could be a phase, or it could be an indication that they might be a 4.
Which brings a good question. I mean, I think when's a good time for somebody to take the Enneagram? Should you as a parent look at your kid and be like, oh, you're a 1, you're a 3, you're an 8? Should they be like me, or should they be like...
We talk a lot about this because we have a tendency to want to try and guess what our kids' numbers are.
Right.
But statistically, what we've heard is that you really want to wait until they're teenagers, 12 at the earliest, but 13, 14, because they're still developing when they're young. They're still actually developing their personality, developing what their number is, their worldview, their perspectives, all those things are being formed. And so you can start to notice tendencies in a younger child and help sort of guide them toward a healthier perspective. But really they're not going to know who they are yet until they're a little bit older. And even then, they're probably still going to be developing on into the teenage years.
Okay.
And so we notice tendencies within our kids that don't necessarily peg them as a specific number, but we see them as reactions to the way they're perceiving things, just because we're so aware of the Enneagram. And so it helps us to be able to shape their perspective in more of a healthy way when we see them kind of going downhill with their thought patterns.
That's so good. Let's go into 4, weaknesses. Weaknesses about the Enneagram 4.
So, a lot of people are like, ooh, poor 4s, because 4s do tend to get the most notice when they're negative because they're easy to spot. When a 4 is unhealthy or unstable, they actually tend to have more of the characteristics of an unhealthy 2, where they're that whole victim thing where they're clingy and they're needy and they need somebody to give them value. They tend to really withdraw within themselves. And here's a big thing. You're a 4 if you have a very intense and extreme fantasy world in your mind. And 4s will do 2 things. They'll either digress into a fantasy or daydreaming of reliving negativity in the past, where they just pull up negative emotions and just re-experience them and feel them. They feel like they have to somehow get in touch with those feelings. I don't know what, I wish we had a 4 here we could interview, but maybe we'll do that later. But something that drives them to go back and just look at those hurts and relive them and re-experience them. Or they will look towards the future and fantasize about what perfection would look like. What would it look like if I wasn't weird, if I wasn't different than everyone else, if I had the perfect relationship and the perfect job and my life was perfect, what would that look like? And so I like to call 4s the daydreamers because really they can spend hours all by themselves in their own world, living completely separate from reality. And it can be very unhealthy because they're not living the life they have now. They're not pouring into the relationships they have now. They're dreaming about better relationships. They're not experiencing good emotions and good memories now because they're reliving those negative emotions. And so the core weaknesses and kind of like the core like emotional things that 4 would have to deal with would be, 1 is envy, which again, talking about that dreaming about what somebody else has, that thing that you feel like you should have, that you deserve it, everybody else has it, why can't I have it? And so envy is a struggle that they have.
Well, and I think that I just want to jump in real quick.
Yeah.
I feel like that's their perception of it. Like it's an internal perception that they have, that they're missing something that everyone else has. And it's like a lot of times it's not even real. They do have it, but they don't realize that they have it.
And we'll talk about that when we get into how to relate to a 4, is helping them realize that they have the same value as everybody else. They're not missing anything. It is just this perception that something's missing, but it's not. It's this internal struggle. And then the other thing that they experience is shame. They just feel ashamed that they're different, that they don't belong, that they don't fit in. And so oftentimes they'll withdraw just because they're embarrassed to be around people and to be exposed as different, because in their mind, everybody's looking at them and everybody's saying, ooh, they're different. You know, they just kind of perceive everybody as seeing them as different because they see themselves as different. So let's talk about how to relate to a 4.
Let's do it.
So they have this constant inner struggle going on inside of them, this need to belong and desire to connect with people and belong, but also this need to separate and be an individual, this desire to fit in, this fear of rejection, so they withdraw and try to embrace the fact that they're different and they're weird and try and own it, but really they just want to belong, but they want to belong with significance and have value that makes them, they just want to be special. And so when you're dealing with the 4, you really are trying to meet 2 separate needs. You want to
I always bring out songs. I think it's songs
So weird.
when somebody says something. So if like they say a word and I've heard that word in a song, my mind instantly flutters too.
They've all experienced this on our videos. They know that
okay,
about you.
gotcha. That's right.
Unless this is your first time watching.
Carry on.
Yeah. So you really want to do 2 things. You want to include them and be like, you're just like everybody else. You're one of us. You belong. But then you also want to set them apart and say, but you are so special and you're so different and there's no one like you and I value you. What was that?
We just saw Frozen 2.
Yeah.
And I was thinking there's somebody there that felt like they were out of place all the time and always looking for significance and knowing there was more. And she heard the...
Could Elsa be a 4? She does get broody and kind of withdraws into herself, and she tries to interact and play games, but she feels like she's different.
And then she has the whole song.
I'm not gonna. You're just trying to get me to stop.
No, do it. Just do a little part of the song. Come on.
Anyway,
come on.
So
Y'all want it.
the
Let's
inner
do it.
struggle. Babe, quit.
Do it. We'll jump right back in. Just do the little
So
song.
annoying. You just did it.
No, not the but the I'll never know.
I don't know. Into the unknown. Okay.
Yes. Into the
Okay.
do the
So-
high part. Do the high part. That's
Baby,
so
you're
pretty.
killing
I
me.
love
Stop.
it.
Okay. So share your inner struggles with them so that they know that, oh, you're confused too. Oh, you have identity issues too. I thought it was just me. And for them to see that not everybody is perfect,
Right.
man, like that's like, it opens up a whole world of like, that's cool. Like I actually am not alone in this. Everybody feels insecure and on the outskirts. You know what I mean?
Alone into the unknown.
Into the unknown. Oh, you guys also, melancholy is just a thing for 4s. And a lot of times for people that are friends with the 4, if their friends get melancholy, they're like, ugh, pull them out of it again. Pull them out. You can't be come on, enjoy life. But honestly, you have to give 4s time to introvert and be melancholy, because that's just kind of how they process. That's how they evaluate their emotions. That's how they kind of process the day or process situations. It's okay for you to let them be melancholy and to give them that space to lovingly allow them to have that time of introspection, but just don't let them linger there. Don't let them just stay there and become depressed. Then eventually you have to pull them out and say, come hang out with us, join us, be a part, tell me what you're thinking, tell me what you're feeling, and really draw those emotions out so you can help them process it in a healthy way.
That's good. That's good.
What else?
They need to belong versus the fear of rejection.
Yeah.
I guess we kind of covered that a little bit.
That's their internal struggle.
The internal struggle that they have.
Yeah, don't try and change them, because if you try to just change them and conform them into what's comfortable for you, really you're devaluing their need and their desire to be an individual. So appreciate their individuality, accept their individuality, bring them into the circle as an individual, and really appreciate and help build the significance by pointing out things about them that are unique and valuable and that are treasured and that you appreciate about them.
And let me just jump in here, because I don't know, this might just be my 8 protector thing, but I hear all these 4s and I'm reading all this and I'm like, 4s, you're created for a purpose. You have significance.
Yes.
You bring God's beauty to the world. You're the poets, the writers, the songwriters, right? You bring art, the beautiful art that we get to look at. And I mean, you just add beauty to everything that you do when you're functioning properly, and you're the master of that transformation that leads on the artistry, right? Taking it from 2D to 3D and introducing us to new colors, new concepts, new ways of looking at things and seeing really the beauty that the world has to offer in people, and make up just all the different things that you do creatively. the writing, the poets. You're wanted, you're loved.
You're amazing.
You're amazing.
And let's talk about the wings, because you really did touch on some of the aspects of the wings. So a 4 with a wing 5 is going to be creative and have this desire to learn and for knowledge and to explore. And 4s with a 5 wing and 5 with a 4 wing, man, they are the innovative world changers. They are the ones that create, the steam engine and the light bulb. They're the ones that think outside the box, think, hey, this could be better, this could be different, this could be amazing, this could be beautiful. And they make those, they're just incredibly intuitive and help move our world along. And then 4s with the wing 3, they have more of the go-getter, that 3 sort of achievement drive of accomplishment. And so the 4s with the wing 3 have these ideas and this creativity, and they actually have the momentum and the strategy and the
self-confidence and being able to find
to
the
go
people
out
to
and
move.
do it and accomplish it. Yeah. So whether you're a 4-5 or a 4-3, you have so much potential if you would take the time and be willing to dig deep and search in yourself and accept that you are who you were made to be, that you are incredible, you are wonderfully made, and you have so much that you can contribute to the world around you. Absolutely. And so 4s are beautiful.
I want to be you. I'm just saying. I just want to be you. I want to do something pretty and artistic. Yeah.
And I love our 4 friends. When we get around them, it's like you just want to be artsy with them. They just bring out this creativity in you that you don't even know is there. It's really fun. Cool.
Yeah.
So that's it, guys. That's what we have for you today about the 4. If you're not sure what you are, look down below in our description. We have a link for our free assessment guide so you can figure out what your number is and learn more about it. Comment below. Let us know if you are a 4, if you know a 4, or anything that you'd like to share about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Or if you have questions, subscribe, ring the bell. If you have questions, email us at info@christianandtiffany.com or check out our Facebook at Christian and Tiffany. And we'd love to connect with you and answer any questions that you might have.
That's right. Okay, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Into the unknown. Something like that. Y'all go see the movie. It was super fun.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah. All right.
Second closing.